So what do you guys think that they're going to be announcing at this? Obviously, we know that, Elon has spoken about Master Plan Part 3, scaling to extreme size. People are anticipating we're going to be seeing the Gen 3 platform. Is it actually real and now going to be producing things? Is Gen 3 part of Project Highland? What do you guys think we're going to be getting out of all this?
Let me go first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and do a screen share because
Yep.
I was interested. I mean, I was, quite intrigued when I saw this person on Twitter mention this guy named Joe. I don't know why he deleted the first tweet, but he said that he spoke to someone who works in Tesla. And this is what he had to say. He said that March 1st is definitely revealing a new vehicle. He hinted that being the obvious thing, robotaxi capable, is my take. And he's seen sketches of it. Based on his reaction, I'm betting this thing is going to blow our minds in some ways. Model 3 refresh is a separate thing. So, I mean, I personally, I didn't think they were going to reveal a new vehicle. I think what they were going to do is like, hey, this is the new platform. This is the skeleton of it, and we're still working on it. We don't know when we're gonna be done. Maybe 2-3 years time. But apparently, according to this guy who's working in Tesla, he's saying that there is going to be a new vehicle revealed. And then he continues to say that I tried to ask if the vehicle could also be a van. He smiled and said, "You'll have to wait and see till March 1st. March 1st is more about battery supply and then the actual vehicle, which makes sense. He thinks the vehicle won't be produced for a few years as battery supply constraints and everything." So that was very interesting to me because, damn, we're gonna apparently see a new vehicle. I don't know. I don't know if this is true or not, but this is according to this person, Joe. It was interesting to read. What do you guys think?
I mean, definitely interesting. I didn't think we'd actually see a new vehicle. I mean, I know last time Farzad and I talked, it was discussing if they're going to come out with a compact car or something lower priced. Seeing what happened in China with like everybody just pushing off their orders, it's almost like they'd have to say, hey, we're coming out with this vehicle and it's being released like tomorrow, or they're going to see a lot of cannibalization going on and people pausing orders. But if it's the van that they're going to be revealing, that's totally different because that could go on the Gen 3 platform. That could be like the Cybertruck where it's not going to cannibalize anything. It's a totally new vehicle. So that's possible.
Yeah, shout out to Joe, first of all, for putting that out there. However, I do have concerns about that tweet. So on the two tweets we read are kind of like fighting against each other. In the first tweet, can you bring it back up again real quick for me?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and again, I'm not saying this is right or wrong. I'm just I'm a little confused by the messaging. So in the first tweet, he said that it's definitely going to be a battery being unveiled, and then in the second tweet, he says it's also about battery supply than the actual vehicle. He thinks vehicle won't be produced for a few years as battery supply constraints everything. And so I think that sort of lines up with what was just said, where I do believe if they do show an actual car, unless they're ready to build this thing immediately, or there is a significant separation between this compact car and say the Model 3 or the Model Y, there will be severe cannibalization and offboarding. I really do think so. And so if it does get unveiled, say quote unquote early, which would be next week, then we should expect it to be maybe like a 2-seater or like a 4-seater where the back seat is like basically one of those, in a pinch settings where you can barely stick a kid in there, it's going to be super, super tight.
Like the S10.
Yeah, it's going to be super tiny. You'll have a small trunk. Obviously, you'll have a small frunk, but it'll be super affordable and will be optimized for 1 to 2 people in the car, getting around as cheaply as humanly possible. So if they can show that, then they might be able to, paired with the Model 3 refresh with the Highland, that creates really good separation between the Model Y and the 3 and this new compact car, then I could see it. But I still feel like what's more likely to happen, this is just my opinion, is that they'll unveil some sort of platform along the lines of, hey, this is how we're thinking about the chassis, the battery, the drivetrain. This, it's going to be able to be scaled up and modular, maybe to this sort of van thing or whatever. Maybe we'll put 4 batteries together. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to unveil, right? But the purpose will be, but we'll have a platform that's going to be almost infinitely scalable long term, or really, really easy to scale long term, so that we can get to 20 million cars per year globally as cheaply as humanly possible. And maybe they'll have a slide where they show, and this is the kind of car that's possible. This is the kind of car that's possible. Oh, and as the closer we get to shipping these cars, we'll do a presentation of what they look like, and we'll go with it. Or they'll just say, screw it, let's just show it all, and production next year. If you want to wait until then, great. If not, but then that opens up a host of other questions. And obviously, it will be incredibly exciting. And I think a lot of us would be like, oh my God, this is amazing. But then you start running into, okay, but you better get this thing out as soon as humanly possible. And especially with like Cybertruck ramping as well in parallel, that they have to get straight. Seems like a lot, but Tesla is known for doing amazing things. So who knows?
So, here Angus is asking, how much do you think that $25,000 vehicle will cost to produce?
Yeah. I actually put out a video about this on my channel yesterday. I think 20,000-ish makes sense. I think they can get to 20,000. Because one of the comments that was made was, okay, in the Q3 earnings call of 2022, Elon and the team said that they're going to get to roughly half the cost to produce for this model compact car. And if you look at the average cost of goods for a Tesla today for the entire lineup is about $39,000. That includes a much more expensive S and X and the Y, obviously, which is going to be a little bit more. Actually, 3 and Y are going to be about the same cost to build because Model 3 is inefficient. But then you have the Highland, so around 20,000 makes sense for the cost to me. But I could be wrong.
20,000, man, that's
crazy.
To build a car. Yeah.
Yeah, but now, did you guys end up watching the connecting the dots video about Highland Park and how it connects with Project Highland?
I haven't watched that yet. No.
So I highly recommend it. Breaks it all down, and wondering if this Project Highland is a manufacturing process that is going to cut costs, which would then allow it to come down and have that $20,000 cost to be able to produce this vehicle. And then again, if you pair that with the Gen 3 platform, if that platform is going to be like almost a modular base where you put the battery into it, and then it's a matchbox car where you're just like, hey, here's the top, just plop it on top to whatever base you need, that would be ideal. So I'm wondering if those two are going to end up playing together and creating that lower cost structure and just being able to scale at mass scale like they've been looking to do for Master Plan Part 3.
You're talking about the Highland, right?
Yeah.
Well, according to Joe, again, Model 3 is a whole different thing. So it's very interesting to see.
Yeah, and that's what I'm wondering, because I mean, we've been talking about, Project Highland as, this upgrade to the Model 3. So just wondering, I don't know. I'm just, there's so much, and obviously we're going to find out a lot of this next week, hopefully. And then the next piece we talk about that goes along with it is energy. Energy is still the thing that's sort of flying under the radar. How much do you think that's going to be playing into Investor Day next week?
I think energy will definitely be part of it, for sure. Because I mean, if you're scaling batteries, you gotta scale it for everything. They just unveiled this Megapack 2 XL product that's been ramping. They said, hey, we can make 10,000 of these a year, or whatever that number was, 7,000-8,000 of them a year. So it's definitely going to be part of the discussion. I wonder how much focus there's going to be around the energy products themselves. There's probably going to be more around how we're securing the supply chain so that we can have the raw materials and whatever else is needed to scale to whatever, 1 terawatt hour of energy in 10 years, whatever, or battery production per year in 10 years. So that's definitely going to be part of the discussion. Real quick on the Highland, though, I do think the Highland, the Model 3, is going to be more around a refresh, like just the tweet said, a basic refresh, not basic, but something that's really going to bring the Model 3, the chassis and the sort of look of it to be a little bit more modern, similar to how that Model S and X were refreshed recently with the Plaid stuff. Okay. Because if you think about the Model 3 platform itself, it's almost 7-8 years old. And it uses a lot of manufacturing processes that have been cleaned up over time that Sandy Monroe poo-pooed pretty heavily when it was first unveiled. So, and then the release of Model Y that was significantly cleaner and much, much more cohesive and much more representative of where Tesla was going from an engineering perspective. And so getting the Model 3 to be modernized based on that, which is obviously going to make it a better quality, but also lower the cost, that makes a lot more sense to me. And there could be things they can borrow from doing that and put it into the compact car, which is what Tesla is known for. They're known for taking a thing and using it for the next thing, taking a thing and using it for the next thing. So, but I do wonder how much of it will be. I do think the game-changing stuff is not going to be in Highland. It's going to be its own separate thing, just like the exoskeleton for the Cybertruck is its own separate thing.